Good evening. We're talking about ratios, rates, and unit rates. In a minute, I'm going to get rid of the screen down here because there's a lot of information down in this lower right-hand corner so that you can see it. What is a ratio? A ratio makes a comparison. Okay. In this case, there are 3 green aliens and 4 purple aliens. So the ratio that compares the two could be 3 to 4. I'm so sorry about that. There we go. I believe that should have hidden the video. So now you should be able to see the 3 to 4. A ratio makes a comparison. A ratio with 3 green aliens and 4 purple aliens would be 3 to 4. Because you always write it in the order that it's written. So since we have 3 green aliens and 4 purple aliens, we have 3 to 4. The ratio of green aliens to the total number of aliens is 3 to 7. Okay, so green aliens, total aliens, 3 to 7. Then if we flip that around and said the ratio of total aliens to the purple aliens is 7 to 4. Notice the total aliens comes first because it comes first in our word. Then 4 purple aliens come second. A ratio makes a comparison. They can be written in 3 different ways. They can be written 3 and then the word 2, T-O, 4, 3 to 4. They can be written 3 colon 4. And then the way we're going to use them most often is that they're going to look like fractions. They aren't fractions, not exactly, but they do work like them to a certain degree. So let's look at some differences between ratios and fractions, differences and similarities. Okay, ratios can be reduced or simplified. The ratio of tentacles to arms, if we're looking at these 4 aliens, a tentacle is the things that are growing out of their heads. Those are the tentacles. So they have 24 tentacles to 8 arms. As a fraction, it would be the first one over the second one. 24 to 8, which can be simplified. 24 to 8 equals 3 to 1. There are 3 tentacles to every 1 arm. This is called a unit rate, which we'll get into here in just a minute. Okay. Sometimes ratios are part of a whole, but they don't have to be. Fractions are always part of a whole. If we are comparing the aliens on the screen, we have 4 green aliens to 6 total aliens. As we know, that can be reduced to 2 green aliens and 3 for every 3 total aliens, because 4 over 6 can be reduced to 2 over 3. This is part of a whole. The 4 green aliens are the part, the 6 total aliens are the whole. But ratios can also simply be comparisons. 2 blue or purple aliens to 4 green aliens. We're not dealing with a part of a whole, we're dealing with a comparison. 2 of this, 4 of that. Again, it could be reduced to 1 blue alien to 2 green aliens. Just like a fraction. In your journals, list some similarities and differences of ratios and fractions. So go ahead and pause it and list those in your journal. Here are some things you could have written. Both use the division line to separate them, or can use the division line. They don't always, but ratios don't always use the division line. Both can be reduced or simplified. Fractions are always part of a whole. Ratios are sometimes part of a whole, but not always. See if you can think of a couple more. A rate is a ratio that compares quantities that are measured in different units. The different units is important. Okay, so a rate is something that compares quantities that are measured in different units. This spaceship travels at a certain speed. Speed is an example of a rate because speed is miles per hour. Speed can be measured in different ways. This one travels in 100 miles in 5 seconds. So this one is miles per second. We're accustomed to miles per hour because that's how we gauge our cars and our vehicles. So 100 miles in 5 seconds, or 5 seconds rather, is a rate. These are written also in fraction form. A lot. 100 miles to 5 seconds can be written as 100 over 5. 100 miles over 5 seconds. So it looks like a fraction. Okay, again, same definition. One key word that I often identifies a rate is the word per. It's one of those big keywords that you've got to start to recognize and see. It's going to become really important as we go through the year. Miles per gallon, points per free throw, dollars per pizza, sticks per gum. We have seen several examples of this, dollars per hour. In some of the word problems we've looked at, we've seen several examples of how this can look. What other examples of rates can you think of, maybe that we use every day? So go ahead and stop. Write a couple in your journal that you think of that aren't listed here. Rates are often expressed as percentages. Remember we talked about how the tax rate is the percentage, and I told you that the interest rate, the R, in that interest formula, I equals P times R times T, will always be in a percent form. That is the interest rate. So rates can often be expressed as percentages. They will not be expressed as decimals. So even though if you see them in fraction form and you need to get them to percentage form, you may have to find a decimal, but you won't show them in decimal form. Most of the time when we work with rates, we use a unit rate. A unit rate compares a quantity to 1 unit of another quantity. Okay? Or a unit rate compares one thing, one type of thing to 1 unit of another type of thing. Remember our tentacles to arms ratios? The 3 tentacles to 1 arm is a unit rate because it's 3 tentacles and 1 arm. This alien can walk at a rate of 10 miles in 2 hours. His speed is a unit rate of 5 miles per 1 hour, or as we normally say, 5 miles per hour. So we take the original rate, or the ratio, and we simplify that to get our rate, where we have 5 miles per 1 hour. Now, you're going to, in your journal, find the unit rate on your own. The next slide is going to show you the answer, so if you'll pause your video for a minute, see if you can figure out what the unit rate is. How many pages can she read per 1 hour? And we'll see how you do. Check your work. The answer should have been 22 pages per hour. How'd you do? How did we get 22 pages per hour? I'm not going to show you. I want to see if you can figure it out. Write it in your journal. So next to where you did the work, I want you to write out how did we get from 88 pages to 4 hours to 22 pages to 1 hour. Let's see if we can figure out how we got.